Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another exciting Minecraft discussion on all things well-being. My name is Dr. Kimberly Quinn, and I am here in my yard because it's hunting season. Actually, I like my yard anyway, but also I'm dressed in orange and this really cool monster hat because hopefully I'm not a moving target back here. So yeah, little G's on a leash. He doesn't like it that much, but at least he gets to get out because it's just not safe. It's rifle season. So anyway, today's topic of discussion is fill yourself up. You know, and it's so odd, and we continue to do it because we're kind of like in this habit. But it's that there's such a stigma with, prioritizing ourselves, and so part of this is about self-care. I mean, it's mostly, but it has a little different spin if you watch the last one. Because sometimes people will say, and actually thinking of my dear friend Oprah, right? She doesn't know, but I'm such a fan of her. She talks about how, she would hear sometimes people say about her, oh, you're so full of yourself. Oh, you're so full of yourself. Well, you know what? And she learned to take that as a compliment, which I think is awesome, because there's kind of like, the arrogant, ego-driven, dysfunctional egoic thinking, another way to put it, when we're just focused on satisfying the ego's itches, which is not what we're talking about. And there's a very authentic, prioritizing of our own well-being, which is, they're just not the same. Like one's a good selfish and one's a bad selfish. So keeping ourselves filled up has us living our best lives. And if we're living our best lives, we're being peace, being gratitude, being love and kindness, being peace, being all of that, all that good divine stuff within us, then that stuff spreads, man. That stuff spreads. And the other thing is we can't give what we don't have. And so, you've heard me talk about the giving tree, Mel Silverstein or whatever. And no offense to him, I don't even know him. However, it is the single worst children's book I've ever seen and read. And it should be called, in my opinion, not just my opinion, if you look it up, I had this opinion before I ever saw anybody else's opinion. It was just validating that, it should be called Codependency for Kids, if you know the story of the book. So it's the opposite of what we're talking about. With keeping ourselves filled up means recharge. It means, physically, nutritionally, and all of that. But it also means all the simple pleasures. And I actually gave my Minecrafters a small assignment for next week because they're going on Thanksgiving break, and they're so good. I just adore all of them, and they're fatigued. They're fatigued. Think about it. They came out of the Rona, 2 years, almost two. Well, basically, let's call it 2 years. And the rest of us are fatigued too. But if we think about it, I have mostly first years, 18, 19, and then a few 20 and 21s maybe. And think of the ratio of their life that 2 years is. Like, I'm a fabulous 56, so yes, it was still different and challenging in some ways, yet for them, many of them, that was their last year of high school, was all weird and different, and now it's way better, but like it's a big ratio for them of their life, yeah. And so I had them do a simple pleasure and commit to it, and for Monday, and it's worth points, and all they have to do is come up with one thing that they commit to, one simple pleasure that they commit to for this upcoming week. And yeah, so that's really what we're talking about as well. So we're talking about, here's what we're talking about in the details, in a list. Some people like lists. One is to commit, well, first of all, to realize that your happiness is your responsibility, nobody else's. Even if I'm in a marriage of 30 whatever years, I'm not great with the math, and it's still, we have this mutually dependent in a good way relationship, and we both know that even in this long marriage is really, the other person is there for you and all that deep, good, and rich relationship stuff. And at the same point, somebody's determined not to be happy, they won't be, right? And sometimes I hear people say, I'll ask, oh, what's your day like today? And they'll say, oh, it's going to be miserable. It's going to be miserable. I've got this and that and back-to-back meetings and blah, 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 blah. Well, if you decide it's going to be miserable, especially like at 9 a.m., of course it's going to be miserable. So number one on the list of filling yourself up is the awareness of our own happiness is our own responsibility, regardless of obviously talking about grown-ups, whether regardless of what relationships or in that you're in or whatever, it's your responsibility. And also the other is true, which the other people's happiness is not our responsibility. It just isn't. And their happiness, their feelings aren't our responsibility. Doesn't mean we don't listen and help if they ask for it, but it's not our responsibility when it comes right down to it. And then the other thing is the simple pleasures. It's very, very important to have a simple pleasure daily. It can be a cup of hot cocoa, the season we're in right now. It can be playing with goats, carving out that time, a hot bath with a glass of wine next to you and candles. It can be to take even 15 minutes out to read a daily meditation or watch an uplifting YouTube, Oprah, Wayne Dyer, something cool, to take that walk during lunch instead of sitting in your office. That sort of thing is very, very important. And to keep up with our relationships, to fill ourselves up, because there is no honor in martyrdom. And those, I'm not saying it with judgment, because codependent behavior is very common, actually. And remember, there's a spectrum, right? There's like people pleasing, and there's people pleasing. There is no honor in martyrdom. Kind of like we're talking about with the giving tree. The mother tree gave up everything she had till she was a stump. You don't want to be reduced to a stump. And if nothing else, not only are you not good for yourself, you're not good for anybody else. If you have small children, young adult children, partners, siblings, friends, we're no good for anybody, never mind ourselves, when we are reduced to a stump. So if anybody says, oh, she's so full of herself, as long as that's authentically, yeah, bring it on. I'm filled up and over the top with life, with the zest of life, and so happy to be alive and breathing and seeing each and every day. So the other part of keeping filled up is to cultivate gratitude each and every day. I do not use that word every very often. And again, up in northern Vermont, I love using the word cultivate because it makes me think of rich, dark earth and harvest and abundance. And staying filled up means to practice gratitude each and every day. If you wake up in a funk and you're not feeling it, what helps me is to have a default gratitude. I have a default gratitude. I just said this to my students the other day because a couple of them were admittedly having a tough time. And my default gratitude is eyesight because of my youngest brother-in-law, Brendan, who can't see, and he's got a smile on his face 99% of the time. I can count on 3 fingers times I've seen him not be in a good frame, as they say. So cultivating gratitude, especially when you come up against a prickly pear, you can smile and nod and send them the good energy. Keeping ourselves filled up. And for me, you hear a lot of like the new agey vibration stuff out there, right? But this is really true because we are energy. And I got a little science nerd streak in me too. And even with Isaac Newton's laws, you can change matter to energy and energy into matter, but you can never destroy either one. We know that we're energy fields, regardless of what you believe, what your faith is, religion, but we're outside of any of that. We know for a fact that we are walking energy, wearing different outfits, really, right? And so for me, keeping myself filled up means that I am in alignment. And I think of my cousin Jimmy as a chiropractor, like, shoulders over hips over heels kind of thing. And that's true, spiritually speaking, that, for me, keeping my insides matching my outsides, my personality in alignment with everything I do, hopefully. And that's another word I don't use often. That's what I'm striving for, is to be in alignment. Personality in alignment with my passion, my heart, my inner voice. This is how people comment on my energy level constantly. And so, constantly, it's kind of like a little running joke that I have enough energy to light up a small village, and that's true, I would say. And part of it is being in the Fast Mind Club, and part of it, not to sound cheesy, but it's just true. I am high on life and existence. When I wake up, I say thank you out the bay window, which it's facing this way. That's what's outside my bay window. They go to the other direction. My feet hit the ground. I say thank you again, because in my head I'm thinking I can stand up. My spine's good. My whole body's good. It is all such a big deal every day. And I sometimes, my husband will laugh. I'll look in the mirror and say, I'm back. Wow, I'm back. And Loretta LaRoche does a funny thing on that. Think of the alternative, right? And then look in the mirror and say something like, wow, you're gorgeous, you're magnificent. I do that all the time. Sometimes I even sing to myself that song, You Are So Beautiful to Me. And my husband will kind of just chuckle and roll over. He's a little bit more of a sleeper in her. Though he's been getting up early lately because of work, but mostly he likes to sleep in if he can, and he'll just roll over and laugh. And it's not out of any arrogance. You guys all know my backstory. Can't be a lot of ego there after, what I've gone through. Plus, I'm also aware of ego, and I don't want any part of being driven around by it at all. So my authentic self is in the driver's seat. So this is an authentic self-appreciation, an authentic filling up. Authentic. And I also have a power song. It's very important to have a power song. This fills you up too. So whenever you're having like a difficult day, or even just, it doesn't have to be that. Usually it's me celebrating. Although I did a lot of power singing throughout my dissertation, because talk about hazing. Oh, yikes. It's just a lot of toxicity. Speaking of egos, mama, the whole dissertation thing, there's a lot of egos to manage. Anyway, I literally got on my top of my coffee table in my skivs, okay? I got a spatula. I think it was a spatula, big serving spoon, something. And Aretha Franklin is my favorite, one of up there, right up there with Oprah. In fact, my first Jeep was named Aretha, actually. Very hard to give her up. Now my second Jeep is named Oprah. Anyway, I get on the table, and I have two power songs. I start out with Think, and then I do like this, I don't like to point at people in general because it's aggressive, but when I'm doing my power song, it's different. Think about what you're trying to do to me, right? Right through my dissertation. And that rolls right into respect. Another da-da-da, right? And so it's important to have a power song. Talk about filling you up over the top. You have so much energy when you're done. Dance like everybody's watching. There's that dance like nobody's watching. Why would you want to do that, I guess? Dance like everybody's watching, even though you're by yourself. And talk about empowerment. When I dance to my power songs, I just walk out the door feeling like I got the whole world right by the ass. Yeah. So that is another way to fill up. Another way to keep yourself filled up is to have a service mindset. And I'm not being preachy. I don't do that. It's just we can be working at a gas station. We can be a yoga instructor. We can be teaching and being a doctor and a lawyer, and we can have a lawn service, we can be a farmer, whatever it is you do, and also mothers and fathers and siblings and whatever. We go in that, Dunkin' Donuts, whatever, we go in with a service mindset, and I mean secularly speaking. If you want to make it, I'm a spiritual person, but if you're not, you can just do what you do. It's very Gandhi, like when you're feeling blue, get out there and do something for somebody. We know for a fact there's a dopamine fix when we do nice things for people. So this whole what can I do for you attitude doesn't mean you have to say that. I don't say that. I mean, sometimes I say that, depending on the context. But a lot of times, just in my head, if I'm with a student who's having a hard time, they don't know that I'm thinking. I am trying to be as actively present in that moment, where they are my only focus in that 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. Nothing else is happening around me, and just zoom on what's going on with them. If it's somebody who's in front of you as a customer service person, just what can I do for you? And that's another way to stay filled up. Because here's the thing, one of my goals in life is to just be the highest version of myself that I can possibly be. To be the best me that's possible. I mean, in an authentic way. All the accomplishments, and we're so achievement oriented and everything in this country. And I just like to move and groove and do stuff. I like to do a lot of stuff and follow my passion, as you know. I want to live the highest vibration of myself, the highest version of myself I can possibly be. And so when I check out of this earth, my grandmother used to say, when you go to your great reward. She was very poised and classy. When I go to my great reward, I want to go sliding into home, bank account empty, margarita glass empty on this side, safe. She had a great ride. That's it. Fill yourself up. This is Kimberly Quinn signing up from my very beautiful backyard in hunting season in northern Vermont. Have a mindful, full day.